Yeah. Hey, my trans sisters and brothers, and my NBs too. We're going to talk about something that's really interesting to me right now. And that is a lot of propaganda on the web just trying to push that detransitioning is valid and you should do it. There's been some surveys I've seen thrown around there that don't really have any validity, in my opinion. And I just kind of want to make a video that says, hey, maybe be a little careful with the information you find online about detransitioning. Think to yourself, is this propaganda trying to get me to not transition? Transitioning is a deeply personal thing. You have to find out in your right in your feels if it's right for you. Don't let people dissuade you. Don't let, just society try to tell you no and that you would be better not transitioning. In so many cases, you would be so much happier if you did, if that is what you need to survive. It kept me from, killing myself. So I just it's disgusting how much propaganda is being put out there, especially in the US right now against trans people to try to erase them from existence. And yeah, I just be careful. So yeah, let me just go over this really quick. You can see it on my screen. So the top reasons here by percentage listed out for detransitioning. I'm not going to read the percentages. We'll just go over it. Pressure from a parent. Transitioning was too hard for them. They faced too much harassment or discrimination as a transgender person. They had trouble getting a job. Ooh, that one is, yeah, that is sick and twisted. I will just say really quickly here, all the transgendered people that I've ever worked with have been some of the most amazing people at their jobs and some of the most amazing people to get along with. On the flip side of that, every single terrible person I've ever worked with has been cisgendered. So, or at least they were presenting as cisgendered, but I'm pretty sure they were cisgendered. They were just awful people in general, but yeah. So it's like, why? Why are you excluding them out of the jobs pool, especially in, I mean, yeah, it's stereotypical to say that like trans people love to be in the IT world and they're very good at it. It's true. I'm trans and I work in the IT world and I work with, machines and engineering and things like that. It comes natural to me. I don't understand what it is. I guess it's one of those good stereotypes versus a negative one. But yeah, that's really disgusting because it forces. I'm not against um using. I'm not against like you making art of yourself. I'm being. You know where I'm getting with this. You're not. I don't feel bad for people that have. Well, I do feel bad for that, but I'm not against it. That where people have to like make an OnlyFans or something like that, or go into that kind of work to pay the bills because they're not taken seriously as a trans person. And you know transitioning is so hard, it is so costly and things like that. So that's the only way they can really afford things like that instead of going to get the job that they wanted in the first place. But I mean, there are some people that do enjoy to do it, and all power to them. It's fine if it's gender affirming to you to do like an OnlyFans or something like that. Gee, go for it. I mean, yeah, you don't need my sign off on it, but you have it. I mean, yeah. So that hits hard because jobs, employers should be looking at the trans gender community as a potential job pool for good employees because, like I said, the cisgender people that I deal with have been some of the worst. So, and all the trans people I've had to work with, which I've actually surprisingly worked with a lot of them, which is, I guess, just a thing in the IT world. They've all been fantastic, super intelligent. I don't think one of them has been they've all been smarter than I have, and that's just crazy. But like, yeah, they've been so inspiring, so smart at what they do. They might not do the same things I do because I'm a systems engineer, hardware engineering, things like that. I'm sort of okay with software and stuff like that, but a lot of the software engineers that I know that are trans are just they're phenomenally good at what they do, and they've always been so they've been great. I'm gushing about it, but it's true. And then all the cisgender people that I worked with that have just been bad in general, they have been really bad. Just like, wow, how did you get the job? Kind of bad. But yeah, that's just my feeling about it. All right. So, pressure from family members, that's disgusting. parents and family members should be supporting you. Pressure from a spouse or a partner. I get this one. I see where it's coming from. Doesn't make it any less disgusting. I do know some people who transitioned within a heteronormative cis marriage, and then their partner wanted them to stop or, get a divorce, things like that. They had an ultimatum saying, hey, I don't want you to transition. It's disgusting and it's going to hurt the kids, which far from that, it could probably help your kids, because then you have, if you do a transitioning, I feel this way. Like either way, M to F, F to M, doesn't matter. Let's just pretend, right? And then you have kids in the lineup, and you transition while you're raising them. You have so much insight to give them on both sides. You just have so much insight. You have so much emotional maturity usually to deal with things, and you know how it'll feel if your kid is either male or female. You know what I mean? You'll be able to console them on both sides. You'll know what they went through, to a certain degree, obviously, with either side. But yeah, I think they would make better parents just in general. All right, so yeah, pressure from an employer. Yeah, if I worked, man, work is so soul-sucking no matter what it is, even if you enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy being a systems engineer, but it is soul-sucking because you're just trying to get things done on and work constantly. And then if your employer comes around and after I not giving you enough money to deal with that already and tells you, hey, maybe you should detransition because you're making Brenda in accounting feel, uncomfortable being, trans. No. That is complete bull poop there. So yeah. Pressure from friends. Those are not your friends. Pressure from mental health professionals. They should not have a license if they're trying to get you to detransition. No. Pressure from a religious counselor goes without saying. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole right now. They realized that gender transition was not for them. Yeah, okay, sure, I can go with that one. Not a big deal. It's not a high percentage. Initial transition did not reflect the complexity of their gender identity. Okay, that one makes sense. I had to think about it, but yeah. So just think that in my case, if I was F or M to F, which I am, and I just halfway through my transitioning, I felt I'm more aligned with being non-binary and staying as non-binary. I can see that. But yeah, for me, HRT saved my life. So obviously medically transitioning, not just socially transitioning. I haven't even fully socially transitioned yet. That just saved my life. Financial reasons make sense. That's disgusting. Nobody should have to go into bankruptcy to be who they are and, get life-saving care. And yes, HRT and gender-affirming care are life-saving care. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot argue that out of me. I can argue multiple reasons why it is with whatever reason you want to give me. Medical reasons, maybe, but like M to F it's not been safer than it is now ever, because we don't use monotherapy anymore. The estradiol that we use isn't equine sourced, and it's not as dangerous. It doesn't cause all the blood clotting issues. Do your own research on that. Please do. Ask your doctor. Work with an endocrinologist on that in particular, but look at the actual data on what they use as estradiol now, and you're not going through monotherapy usually. Monotherapy means that you're using estradiol only. Now people use an androgen and estradiol to go through gender-affirming care, and it is much safer that way, in my opinion. And the major concern was always blood clotting and potential strokes, and I don't think that's a starter anymore. So yeah, and if you have a good doctor, they'll talk you through it and not try to dissuade you from it. Unless you have proper, known history of strokes and blood clotting, then it may be an issue. But yeah, do your research. All right, so that said, that was done by the U.S. Survey for Transgender People. I think it is, yeah. Is the U.S. Transgender Survey. It's done by an organization that is trans-friendly. It used 27,715 respondents across all walks of life here in the U.S. And it makes a lot of sense that that data seems real. But here's where here's where the bad data comes from. There is an organization called the Society for Evidence for Gender-Based Medicine. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You can feel the ADHD coming out from me. Yeah, they are not to be trusted. They are a hardcore anti-trans organization under the guise of actually being pro-trans when they're 100% not. They want to detransition you. They want to hurt you. That is their only goal in life. There is no scientific method to why they want to hurt you. They use a lot of false attributions to why you should detransition. And so the reason for detransitioning in their case is, just disgusting. It's like, yeah, so realize that my gender dysphoria was related to another issue. What? Not being the right gender? Yeah, okay. Well, I wouldn't detransition because, no, it doesn't make sense. Health concerns? Definitely not, especially if we looked at a real study. And this was only done over 237 people. And the person that did it here, Vanderbush, it was Ellie Vanderbush, the only documentation I can find that they have ever written has just been on, like, they've been so visceral about, hating transitioning, and they said they detransitioned. Who knows? They could just be a grifter trying to, you know, paid by an organization to tell you to detransition just, to get their jollies off. And that's just disgusting to me. That's what I feel. I mean, write in the comments if you have proof that she is or they are real and they've actually have real insight on this. But from what I've seen in their documentation, is a lot of circular logic that doesn't, it says a lot but about nothing. All right, so health concerns, yeah, like I said, no, there's not, especially compared to a study done with way more people. The health concerns usually don't even enter the equation unless you have previous health issues, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Transition didn't help with dysphoria. Okay. That's news to me. There's a new 2022 study that isn't fully done by the same people that made the other study, the good study, and they said that transitioning basically there was almost like a 90% satisfaction rate, and or surgery and medically transitioning was even higher than that. So yeah, they don't have the full study done. You can go get it on their website. I'll link to all the studies below, except for this one, the Society for Gender-Based Medicine. You can find that one on your own. I don't want to give them any traction. Just look up the organization. They're terrible. Use an ad blocker. Get rid of their revenue if they have any ads. I don't know because I'm using an ad blocker. All right. So yeah. So you can read over these. I'm not going to go through them. They seem very heavy-handed and far against like the reality. There's like a reality distortion. They're trying to tell you it's such a terrible thing to transition. So these are the reasons why they detransitioned, and that's how you should do it. And this is just again. So this is why this kind of stuff upsets me. Obviously, I don't feel like I need to detransition. I feel perfectly acceptable, like transitioning. I need to. It is saving my life. But there's going to be young people out there, possibly, hopefully. I believe that a lot of transgender youth these days are very well read, very well spoken, and they are more in tune with their needs than their peers, obviously, especially about gender needs because they're going through that tough time. I think I'm hoping, I'm not going to dismiss it, that kids are not stupid, especially when you're in that age where you're questioning. I hope that they're deep down inside questioning that detransitioning is not that common like they make it out to be in some of the documentation and the propaganda out there. Especially like when a parent or something goes around and said, "Oh, you'll regret it, and then we'll have to detransition." That is so far from the case. That happens, but so seldomly. I've known maybe a handful of people that have had to detransition for various reasons. It was always something external to their needs, like they didn't have enough money. But once they got back on their feet, they immediately retransitioned. So yeah, just don't try to think in the future that you'll regret it to make you not at least try bettering yourself if you do have severe dysphoria. That's this whole talk. This is my whole blabbing about. Just be careful with what you read out there. Make informed decisions, even from what I'm telling you. Research it. Think to yourself, is the information that they're giving me trying to be helpful or trying to harm me? And when just there's just there's so many holes in a lot of this logic out there. Just like I said, you need to do your own research. Yeah, be better with media literacy, and feel if it feels right for you, then transitioning is the right thing to do, and you will probably not regret it. There's a very high chance you won't regret it. There's almost a minuscule chance that you'll regret it. There's even a lower chance that if you go through a surgery, you get that far in because the screening processes are so difficult. And just even getting the surgeries paid for is just so many loopholes and hurdles that you have to go through to make it work, that you're there and you're not going to regret it. That is like, I think it was like 2% of the people that medically transition with a surgery. I don't remember where I read the statistics. It could have been from the 2022 study. That is not fully done, but yeah, from the other organization that is trans friendly. But yeah, it's like less than 2% ever want to detransition from that point, which makes sense. It's a lot of work. You know what you're in for. You know what you're doing. I think you're steadfast in what you want to do. So, moral of the story, too long, didn't read. Yeah, be comfortable with your transitioning journey. Don't let people talk you out of it. Only let yourself feel not comfortable in transitioning be the way to talk yourself out of detransitioning. But at least in my case, I can 100% guarantee it changed my life for the better, and I can't see going back. Being a cis guy was kind of icky pants. So, yeah. All right. Talk to you again sometime in the future, probably really soon. I'll talk about some more things that are trans related and to, your potential trans journey and how I've looked at things. All right, I'm going to stop recording now. I'll talk to you later. Yeah.